Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to review the ANKR protocol. If you're new to my channel, please check out the video how this channel works. Otherwise, I'm going to jump right into it. As you can see, this project looks pretty good from a top-down view, mostly green, some yellow, and only a little bit of red. So what does this project do? You're going to see this statement a lot because the CEO said it, and I really like that it's a simple upfront answer. He basically says what he sees as for his vision of ANKR is a default Web3 provider. So ANKR makes it easy for developers to connect to blockchains. It also allows for people to use idle computers to provide blockchains with validation computations. So you can use, if you have some idle computers, some standing by, you could have them do useful work in blockchains and get paid for that. So you reduce the expense of having idle computers. So basically, the services they offer, and this is live. This is also stuff that's live. A lot of projects do not have things that are live, so that's a very good thing about this project. So they offer staking nodes, one-click solutions for many different blockchains. You can launch a node. As a programmer, you have to figure all of that out. However, if you use ANKR, they have some easy APIs for your project. You can just connect right to any blockchain, and ANKR helps you to do that. They have developer APIs, plug and play with the blockchains. They also are doing enterprise solutions, which could be some of their more centralized, or they're distributed but managed by them, centralized in a sense, solutions for big players that want to connect to Web3 or blockchains. And they said in some of their interviews that they are 80% cheaper than some public cloud service providers. These are once again, the ANKR managed services. They may not be decentralized, but they are distributed servers, and they are managed by the ANKR team. Once again, using idle computers to contribute work, and projects can save time setting up node connections to the blockchain projects. So this is, your general top-down of what this project is doing. So to get an even more top-down view, here's their mission statement, and I've even summarized that to be even shorter. To provide pragmatic business solutions where node operations can use idle cloud resources from data centers to run blockchain nodes, which are easy to access and deploy in a few clicks. And to put that in an even more summarized statement, basically idle resources run nodes for easy money through ANKR. Okay, so what problem will this project solve in the future? Well, first of all, I was building this project yesterday, and they actually made a major announcement yesterday. Staker is launched. The contract launched for that, and from what the CEO is saying, you can earn 25% on your Ethereum for staking to Ethereum 2.0. So they do offer that as a service, and I will get into more details of the staker in this video. They also are going to build out more of their Ethereum Polkadot services, and they're likely to be in a good position to improvise because they are a very practical provider to the Web3 services. Basically, ANKR team is they're very nimble on their feet, and I could see that they are doing a good job at providing services to companies that want to interact with the Web3 stack, the distributed services stack of blockchain, or whatever you can call it, blockchain or whatever. So how much money needs to go through their system to justify $1 billion market cap? I like to show people this number because it helps you to get a cash flow perspective on projects in a way to evaluate. Well, the very first thing I want to note is I've only noticed really 2 projects that were open with this that they said that they were already cash positive. Celsius was my other investment, and they are up 40x since when I invested in them. So this project is not up 40x. However, they have the same statements that Celsius does. We are already cash positive. And you know what? That's a very strong thing right there. That shows that they are proving themselves valuable to the marketplace. And yeah, there it is. Once again, Celsius was the only one that made that statement. All right, from a cash flow perspective, for a 10x growth from here, where they are now, they need about 180K profit a day if they were doing 1% charge on their fees. So to get through all of this, in order to justify a 10x from here, they need about 7 billion moving through the platform if they were to charge 1% fees, and if it was to go to the natural order of things, which is a P/E ratio of 1/15. So to justify a billion, once again, to just kind of summarize what I just said, to justify $1 billion market cap, they need about 7 billion moving through the platform. So that can give you an idea of whether or not ANKR will be able to achieve such a thing. And if they're offering staking services and they do charge 1% or even 0.5%, if they capture, Ethereum, this is just Ethereum. This ANKR offers nodes for hundreds of blockchain projects, but for just Ethereum, Ethereum is going, it's going to be, let's say it's right now it's like 40 billion market cap. So if they capture 10% of Ethereum staking strategies, that'll be half of the need for them to be $1 billion market cap. So it shows how difficult, all of this is just to show you how difficult it could be for them to reach $1 billion. I don't think it's going to be that difficult for them to reach a 10x from here. This project is definitely one that could do that, especially since they're cash flow positive and they're already proving themselves in the marketplace. So does the team have a track record for showing that they could deliver? They have guys from the University of Berkeley and electrical engineering and computer science. They have 2+ years development blockchain. ANKR's been around since 2018. Their chief technical officer also electrical and computing engineering. And another thing to note is many different projects such as Unilend are using them for their services, Matic Network, etc. And when someone uses them as a service, they are validating that they're getting something valuable from them. So in a sense, that is vouching for ANKR as whether or not the team can deliver. So in my opinion, that shows that it can. So let's jump right into the assessment. So I expect there to be strong price movements in the future. I think it'll be within the upper 40 percentile. It may even be a little bit higher, but I think it'll be somewhere in this range of performers, just because it is relatively its market cap isn't super small. It's a diluted market cap of 90 million, and it's got a $53 million market cap right now. So that's one of the major reasons I don't think it's going to be one of this, like up here, but I do think that it definitely could be in this range of, of being better performer than the average crypto. That's my overall assessment. All right, so future increase in demand for the token. I think that will be the case. So their current niche, as I said, they are actually live. They're cash positive. Great. That's awesome. Very few projects can make such a claim. Staking nodes, developer APIs, enterprise solutions, as the CEO says, a default go-to for Web3 infrastructure. So if you want to launch a project, they can take care of a lot of your needs as a developer and make that easy for you. Okay, so is a token used for services or governance? Token is used for collateral, for staking, insurance, and you could, you stake for governance, which gives you control of the platform, and rewards for the ANKR. You are paid rewards from the fees in being providers and staking in their services. So yes, the token is involved in many of these steps. The token is entitled to those gains. Okay, so do I expect future market excitement from price momentum? I actually do think this project will get hype in the future, as it has already seen. It's already been through a bubble, but I do expect it to. It's going up again, and I expect that trend to continue because what it looks like is they have adapted and they are fitting needs of the market, providing valuable services, and some of their services are really beautiful and easy to use. That's all great stuff. They're fitting right in. So major upcoming events. That's where that they just announced Staker contract, and what that is. So what is Staker? Staker is to run nodes on the beacon chain for Ethereum with any amount of Ethereum, because you're going to need 32 Ethereum to stake on Ethereum. However, they're going to allow for anyone to partake in these Ethereum pools that will be able to validate the Ethereum network, so that these people could be entitled to revenues from Ethereum. You'll be able to deploy remote node or use your own hardware. So you'll be, in order to validate onto the Ethereum beacon chain or the Ethereum network, you can deploy your own software or you can use a server somewhere else. And, to do that, ANKR will provide that ability. You provide insurance fund so that, in case your hardware or in case your remote node is not validating the network, if it gets shut down and it gets slashes or punished in the Ethereum network, everybody in that pool could get hurt potentially from that. So in order to partake in these pools, you got to provide insurance, and ANKR is what you use, or Ethereum. You can use ANKR or Ethereum for that. And what that does is that protects from that slashing event, and the staked insurance earns rewards in the meantime. In the meantime, even though you put that value in to partake in this pool, you also get rewarded for that. So that's what's, you get the income from that. So you're not losing out by partaking in that pool. Okay, so I expect current awareness to go up. Okay, so they've already had a hype stage. So I put before the first marketing campaign, I put it as yellow because they've already had some hype in the past, and they were up 10x from March to August. They are known, but not overhyped. I don't think they're overhyped, but they are relatively well known. So I think this is not going to be something that contributes. It could in the future, but I just don't think it's one of those elements that's really going to contribute in the future that much to this project in comparison to some of the more undiscovered projects. This project, I feel, is relatively well discovered, as you can see from this yellow. It's discovered, but it's not like most well-known project ever. Their Telegram has 14,000 people. Their team on Twitter has 5,000. The project itself has 28 followers on Twitter. That's in the mid-range, maybe even on the higher end. But the team itself is on the low end. The YouTube exposure is on the low end. But they were on Ivan on Tech, and they did get some exposure, about 25,000 views if you search for them. So the token is hard to acquire. Well, on Uniswap, a good sign, and one of the reasons I've reached the conclusion that current awareness is pretty low, even though the Twitter and all that stuff was at a relatively high level. The reason I did come to the conclusion that it is relatively people are not aware of it. They may have been aware of it in the past, but they probably sold out by now. It's because it's got really low liquidity on Uniswap. Now, that might be because people are, staking their token or whatever. But for whatever reason, the liquidity is low on Uniswap. And usually when liquidity is low, that means that a project's not discovered, or there's, it's in the low. It's in the undiscovered stage, If there's a lot of liquidity, there's a lot of people showing interest. I like buying projects when they're low liquidity. One of the problems when you buy something with low liquidity is you can't really exit super fast, but it also means you're getting in early. So with that high risk comes high reward. I like, playing that game. Many needed to move price up, or money needed to move price up decreases. I expect over time the amount of money to push the price up to decrease. Tokens on the sell side to decrease. I expect that to be the case over time. So regarding inflation, the inflation's pretty high for this project. It's one of the negative things. So it's between 6, or it's greater than 6% or less than 30%. As you can see from this chart, here is the analysis of the release of the token. Let me see here. Okay, so the all-time high was back in March of this year, and one pattern I've noticed, and I've mentioned, if you are aware of my channel, I've seen this pattern many times. When 50% of the tokens are released, that's usually when the all-time low is reached. I've seen this pattern many times. I've seen it in the US and I've seen it in other projects. So that's what one of the best entry points is usually right about here. Right when a project is highly inflationary, you want to get in when about 50% of the supply is released, because, and it also works out from a math perspective of why that's not super high, inflationary. Because you could have infinite inflation right here. The closer you get to zero, and the rate of inflation could be extremely high. Even from 25%, that's 100% inflation just to get to halfway. So when halfway is released, the highest you could possibly have is 100%, and that gets you all the way to all this max supply. So I have noticed this. This is an important thing to know. When there's an inflationary model, you usually want to enter after 50% of the tokens are released, unless it's a relatively low inflation rate. So the all-time high is right here, and this is where we are today. And yes, I did enter in recently, but there is a 30% inflation rate happening right now from here to here. However, what I did is for this project, when it's for me personally, when a project has high inflation like this, I do think this project could realize value in the future, but I'm a liquidity provider on Uniswap. That's what I opted in for, because in a way that counteracts this, and it allows for me to hold value in it. Of course, there's other things to consider, like the impermanent loss. But this is my strategy for when I find a good project. What I do is I'm usually a liquidity provider, and it lessens my exposure to the downside, but it also lessens my exposure to the upside. It kind of averages it out between the two projects. All right. So value of the target market is large and has room for growth. I think their target market is basically the whole of Web3 for any company that wants to use the Web3 stack. So that means they're a key service provider of the new Web3. And so there's a huge, huge market for that. So they can definitely realize a lot of growth from that. So one thing to realize that's important about this project is in the gold rush, the people who got rich were not those who were those who were seeking to buy or to find gold. It was those who sold pickaxes. They were general. They provided a general service. That is what this project is, and that's why I personally see it as being really bullish, because they're in a position to be a general provider, service provider for Web3. So they don't have to lose out if they pick the wrong market. They are choosing the whole broad market to serve. So that's why one of the reasons this project is so strong. Token supply distribution is okay because they're past the 50% mark, over 50%. So that's why I put it as green. In a bull market, so it's in a bull market, so there is some danger for that. They're 7x from their all-time low. They are 30% down from their all-time high. They have 1 year of downward trend, 8 months of upward trend, and here's that pullback, and this is roughly what the price looks like. So I put it as, it's not super green because it's not like it's been down forever or that it's been unfound. It's already had a hype cycle, and but it looks to be in another bull territory. But obviously, since it's in a bull market, there's always risk of pullback. But once again, maybe this should be green because it is in a bull secular trend upwards. So the niche, once again, they are offering powerful niche, and it is contributing right now to the token sell pressure decreasing, because they are continually releasing new products, and they have a live product, that niche that is being serviced now. Not on many exchanges. They're on Uniswap, and as far as I'm concerned, that means that they're accessible. And so this element, whenever you're on Ethereum, you're easy to access, so that doesn't contribute. Okay, so No inventions or billion-dollar startups in their team history, so I'm just going to put that as nothing, not contributing. The CEO, he is a visionary in my opinion because he, his vision is the default Web3 provider. When I hear him talk, he seems very strategic. He actually has a lot of stuff similar to me in his approach to the whole space. So I guess that makes me biased. He had positive cash flow already, so he led this company to being positively cash flow already. That's amazing. But there are no billion-dollar startups and there are no inventions, and that's why I gave him the 7.5 rating. But who knows? This could be his first billion-dollar startup. He can always prove himself right now, and that's what many people do. When they prove themselves, they produce their first billion-dollar entity, and any future project they do becomes super strong because they made a billion-dollar startup. Okay, so for evidence of ability to solve difficult problems, their CEO has a bachelor in electrical engineering and computer science. STEM is what you want to see. Obviously, STEM is the only kind of degrees that could make you successful in this field. That's way too broad of a statement. I retract that. For technical stuff like programming and for delivering complex solutions, you want to see those STEM backgrounds, and a lot of them are in those STEM backgrounds. So evidence of ability to solve difficult problems, and plus they've already proven themselves to be cash flow positive. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Many projects vouch by using their services, so that's why we could say the developer team is awesome, because there's many projects using them, such as Unilend and etc. So, the partner with Unilend, Nuke Cipher, Waves, Polkadot, and you can see the full list in my sources below the video. So they have a lot of strategic partners. Best option of the competition. So they've already achieved. They already have customers. They already are cash positive, and they're already proving their competence. So yes, I think they're almost going in their own direction in that they're so practical. They've been around for a while, but it looks like they've taken this pivot to be super practical, super pragmatic, and to deliver, just deliver something. And they're delivering. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what matters. Are you delivering? And they are. So, okay, so this is one of the weaknesses I saw, or I think is a weakness, and maybe I missed it. So external transfer catalyst inhibitor. So they offer these services for startups who get going. So imagine, so I said this, I think this needs improvement. So what I'm saying is they probably need to give weight for loyalty or time spent in their system so that you get a level of dedication to them. Because imagine, here's a scenario that I can imagine. A project starts out, they use the services of Unilend, because it is easy to help them get started. Project gets market share and established, and they start doing good by themselves. And then they get rid of their services in Unilend because now they can just produce it themselves because they can just get someone to do it for them. And Unilend has to think, maybe we can keep people by, once they get to this level, we could be just at cost or pretty close, They get a level of loyalty or some benefit for being a loyal participant in their systems. But who knows? I'm not fully on the inside of this, but to me, their services look to be to help people get going. But what happens in the long run? Do they have something to keep people loyal? Many projects, in my opinion, forget that time is worth something, and they should assign a time weight component to being in your system so that people get that loyalty. Or figure out a way to get that loyalty. Now, maybe they do have a program, and maybe I missed it, but that's just my take on that. Okay, so allow new providers. The token governance can allow new providers. It can control many critical parameters within the system. It can take out bad actors. You can make proposals, and you have community control. So that's all good stuff. They do not have an added voter weight for time component, which most projects do not, even though it could be extremely helpful. Protection from custodial exchange. I put to be determined because they haven't launched their governance parameters yet. But in the future, if a DEX is in control, or if centralized exchanges are in control, that could be devastating. But that's why I put it. This is a risk factor. It's to be determined. I think in the future everything's going to be on DEXs, so this might not be as big of a problem for many future projects as in the future. But to be determined. I will keep an eye on things like this as projects launch their governance, and I'll let you know if any project changes in the future and becomes negative, in my opinion. So all of these are things that are just irrelevant. But I do think that the token governance will lead to high-value people remaining in control and prioritizing upgrades, leading to all these benefits. When you have high-value people, it leads to many different benefits. So future marketing plans, the staker pool incentive participation, they mentioned that 10% of the money that's made will go to development and marketing. Their clients are the people that are important for them to market to, and they are obviously doing that as they're getting new clientele all the time, such as new partnerships like Unilend, which was announced not that long ago. They make things easier for the developers. It's part of their service model, so difficulty of internal transfer is low because their whole point is making things easy for their clients. They save time and energy for developers and stakers and use idle resources. So the internal transfer catalyst is literally the fact that they offer some good services. Their services are their internal catalyst mechanism. What do you know? That's not that novel of a concept, right? All right, more people using the project. Yes, so that makes this bullish. Yeah, I definitely see. Definitely more people are going to be using this project in the future. I think they're going to capture market share. They have long-term vision and strategy. As stated, their CEO sees them as a default Web3 provider. But I did mention what they have on their front page is what they are right here. Providing pragmatic business solutions and all of that other stuff mentioned earlier in the video. So that's all of their mission statement. Many blockchains interconnected. Another one of their major comments. So the developer compensation model. Future token proposals could lead to compensation. Staker pool income is provided for development as well as marketing, and the token allocation from the crowd sale. So they have some tokens aside for development from the crowd sale. So developers will be motivated. High value upgrades will happen from their long-term vision and strategy. These things come together to make value of services provided to increase, contributing to more people using the project. Value of services provided increase, lead to large business models that demand token to reflect their needs, as well as their strategic partnerships. So large business models that demand the token to reflect their needs. That's a very important thing because who's got the big money? That's going to be big buyers of the token. I said yes, data centers, collaborations likely, etc. from the Web3 surface layer. If a project has large businesses buying their token, that's a very powerful thing. And that could definitely lead to huge price spikes in the future. So the project is basically on DEXs, so we're going to see some liquidity pooled, basically the project will have a lot of buy and sell activity. Project is on a high volume DEX. It has a community. It's going to have involvement. All of that's going to lead to people participating and pooling liquidity into the liquidity pool, and pooling basically tokens to those who save, those who are hodlers versus those who like to sell it right away. So this is a bullish thing. For any project, is a project that has a large community trading the token. And the project is easy to use. That's one of their main services. Token per person to decrease. And once again, that feeds back into this whole system of leading to future market excitement. And they do have a fees that burn tokens mechanism, but I put as yellow because it's not hard-coded. It said basically, I say show me the incentives and I show you what happens. But basically they said rewards in the insurance pool are checked by the governance when the threshold transfer. when they cross over a certain threshold, they can burn the anchor or transfer them out. And since it's not hard coded, I said it doesn't count because what incentive will they have to burn anchor tokens? They'll probably just take those anchor tokens and do something with them. And once again, the reason I say that is show me the incentive, show me I'll show you what happens. So you need to hard code burning tokens in for me to count it as something that contributes to it. But hell, like they could do it and show that I'm not saying that they won't. I'm just saying that I like to see it written into the code. All right, and finally, the final assessment. The pros, they're cash positive with a niche already working, visionary CEO, practical expanding use cases, past 50% released, and they got growing staff. They are growing rapidly. They are a good project. Cons, the external transfer catalyst inhibitor, like companies could potentially leave in the future if they want to just write out these services for themselves once they're well established. And the inflation rate on this is kind of high. So that's my take on this project. All right, guys, good luck investing.